Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome to the channel. Today, we have something very interesting. I asked AI to design a 200 mile per hour 3D printed jet, and this is what it came up with. And this looks like a lot of sport jets out there. And AI said to use a 120 millimeter EDF fan on 12 cells and the fuselage length of 62 inches. Now, all these dimensions here, they're not correct, but the fuselage length here, it's set fuselage should be 62 inches long. So I began looking at all this stuff here. This can't be correct because this is 55 inches right here. And you can see it says the wingspan would be 52 inches. So 52 inches and this is 55. Unless this is half of this, I really haven't looked at it that much. But it talks about how to go about building this. And they called it the Vortex 200. I believe that's 200. It's just for the 200 a mile per hour. So I wanted to see, how accurate these drawings were. And I mean, I could model this jet pretty simple, but the thing is, it took a lot of things of liberty. If you look at it back here, and then you look at it the top here, then you wonder how this actually flows in here, the intakes. How do these intakes flow in? Do they come in under the wings or something? Here, we just don't know, but I would have to take some liberties at designing this, but this would not be very difficult to design. And then I want to see how accurate the wing was here. And it suggests that I use a NACA 0010 airfoil, and so I put that airfoil in here. Let's turn off the side view here. And you can see I put the airfoil in here. Then I actually started modeling just the wing to see how accurate it was. Okay. And then looking at, it's two pieces, forgot about that. As you can see, this wing here is a little thick on this, and that's not a problem. I mean, I could thin this out. But then again, these drawings are not, very, very accurate, so it's not a really big problem. But I thought, there are a lot of sport jets like this out there on the market. And I felt I didn't really want to do anything like this, design something like this. And I felt that there are better designs out there that should be capable of giving, 200 mile per hour speed. So then I remember seeing the Zephyr Industries XF-109, and it's a small 50 millimeter EDF speed type of jet. And I thought of scaling that up and doing some things to it, possibly putting in a 120 millimeter fan inside of it, or either 100 or a 120 millimeter EDF fan. So what I ended up doing there, I went back to AI, and then I asked AI, can the Zephyr Industries XF-109 actually handle 200 mile per hour, not just head it, survive it? So yeah, then I started evaluating whether the XF-109 platform can realistically be pushed to the level with the 120 millimeter EDF fan. And this isn't hype, this is engineering. So let's get into the Zephyr. So like I said, at first I asked about 200 mile per hour jet, and using 120 millimeter EDF. And what surprised me, it didn't start with power. It started with aerodynamics and structural integrity. And AI outlined five major requirements for that. Extremely low drag is one, thin wing profile. That's why it suggested the NACA 0010. And some iterations of it even suggest the NACA 0007 um, or 0009 also. Again, so the thin wing profile, a high torsional rigidity, flutter resistant control systems, and proper thrust to drag balance. And right away after knowing all that, it made something clear. 200 mph isn't about just throwing in a big EDF like I thought, just putting a 120 size EDF inside of this XF-109. And it's about refinement. So, it AI recommended the wing requirement, 8 to 9% thickness ratio, and using a symmetrical airfoil and a sweep of the wings of 20 to 25 degrees sweep and a thin trailing edge. Let's take a look at the Zephyr. Okay, here's the side view of it. And it's a sleek looking jet. That intake here. So this realistically should give me, something easier to get to 200 miles per hour over the the jet that AI designed, the sport jet looking jet. But I think this will be easier to try to get to that 200 mile per hour. And the wing requirements, like I was saying, it's very important. And because the faster you go, drag increases with the square of velocity. This means that the jump from 150 miles per hour to 200 mile per hour isn't linear, it's exponential. A thick wing that works fine at 120 miles per hour it becomes a drag wall at 200 miles per hour. So you got to really be looking at all this type of stuff. Now, AI also specified the main wing spar for the jet, the 18 to 20 millimeter carbon main spar, and second anti-torsional spar, and shear webbing between spars, and wing built as a box system. A box beam. In other words, a high-speed structural wing, not a lightweight park flyer wing. So we got to do some beefing up of the wing because, like I said, this is a 50 millimeter EDF, and I'm going to make this thing bigger for a 120, either a 100 or a 120 millimeter EDF, and I'll be asking AI, what's this thing should weigh, and if it weighs, something like, I don't know, if it weighs like 12 pounds, then I think the 120 will get this to 200, and the 100 millimeter EDF, those put out about 15 to 17 pounds of thrust. It's possible with the 100, just depends on what the weight of this is going to be. So, like I was talking about the power system already, for 200 mile per hour with a 120 millimeter EDF on 12S battery, it's about 5 to 7,000 watts. So 22 to 28 pounds of thrust with the 120 millimeter EDF. And on paper, that's serious power. Yes, it is. But again, like I said earlier, that power doesn't guarantee the speed. The drag determines that speed. So let's talk a little physics now. I don't know much about physics, but the stuff that I do know can just get me into trouble. That's about it. So, okay. So when you look at things at 180 mile per hour, 100 miles per hour, dynamic pressure is already extreme. At 200 miles per hour, it increases significantly again. If the aircraft weighs only 12 pounds, and at 3G pullout, at a 3G pullout, you effectively have about 36 pounds of load. And at a 5G turn, that's about 60 pounds of effective load. And those loads, they focus at the wing root, the spar junction, the tail mounts, and the control surfaces. So those are very important. Like back in the past when people used to put ARFs together, you would have to cut some of the film on top of it, off of it, and it would always talk about not scoring down into the wood because if you score down into the wood, it makes a little weak point there, and the wing could break right at that point. And a lot of those junctions were right at where the wing meets the fuselage and places like that, and the tail surface is also where it meets the fuselage. So that's what they're talking about, right there. And at 200 miles per hour, flex is not gradual, it becomes violent. If the wing twists slightly, aerodynamic forces amplify it instantly. And that's flutter territory. And that's when you get all that flutter and your plane pretty much destroyed. So 9 times out of 10, well, yeah, about 9 times out of 10, if you hear flutter, it's already too late. You hear it and your plane's now pieces into the ground, stuff like that. So yeah, so we have to watch out for flutter on this thing too. And so the XF-109 already has a sleek fuselage, low frontal area, and a speed-oriented layout. That's a good starting point. But the wing thickness ratio and structural layout becomes critical above 170 miles per hour. If the wing is thicker than 10 to 11%, drag rises quickly. If torsional rigidity isn't high enough, flutter risk increases dramatically. So, to survive 200 miles per hour, the XF-109 would require continuous carbon spar throughout the fuselage, not a problem, and a second torsion spar and reinforced EDF bulkhead, a battery tray integrated into the structural frame, and solid hinges. And without these upgrades that will be done into this, AI estimated a realistic safe ceiling should be around 170 to 180 miles per hour. And that's still extremely fast, but that's not 200 miles an hour. So the real enemy is flutter. So again, we have to look at the structural stuff, and it's that flutter. And flutter happens when a control surface flexes, air loads amplify oscillation, the structure resonates, and failure happens in seconds at 200 miles per hour. Even a tiny hinge slop and small push rod flex, even servo gear play come into effect and can cause oscillation and destroy your plane and everything. And so what I'm going to have to do to make this thing capable of approaching, even 190 miles an hour, I'm going to use metal gear servos, short control horns, supported push rods, and tight linkage geometry, and minimum elevator throw. We don't want a whole lot of elevator throw going really fast. And so, yeah. So, a modern 120 millimeter EDF on 12 cells can produce E-flex speeds near 200 miles per hour, but aircraft speed is not equal to E-flex speed. To hit 200 miles per hour airspeed, the XF-109 would need extremely clean ducting, which it does have, and 85 to 90% FSA exhaust sizing, and a smooth intake lips and minimal cooling drag, and smooth exterior finish. Now, the layer lines from 3D printing create drag at high speeds, and AI even recommends epoxying skin coating and sanding to get rid of that. if drag isn't extremely low, if the drag is not extremely low. So again, AI says I should settle somewhere around 175 and 185 speed with all this. And so we'll see. And after comparing, the purposely built AI 200 mile per hour concept and the XF-109 platform, here's my honest conclusion. The XF-109 can realistically be optimized to 170 to 185 with proper reinforcement, which I will probably do. Well, I would have to. Now, with extreme refinement, I possibly hit 190 mile per hour. But 200 miles an hour, I'm going to need composite reinforcement, carbon fiber skins. So, yeah, and I'd have to do professionally aerodynamic finishing. But it's not impossible, just a little more work. So, realistically, with this jet, I'll be, looking at 170 to 185. And that, again, that is extremely fast. So, yeah. And so redesigning the XF-109 with AI and push it towards 190 miles per hour, or design a completely new airframe specifically for 200 miles per hour. That's a question that goes through my mind too. And I'd like to hear from you guys and know what you think. Should you go with the existing XF-109, which I am going to do, and possibly build the Vortex later down the line? I don't know, but the Vortex just looks like every sport jet out there. So that's what I don't like about that. And again, 200 miles per hour isn't about power. It's about the engineering. And yeah. So, like I said, I do believe this model here, I think it's, AI says 170 to 175. I think I can get it to 200 on the 120, possibly a 100, depending on the weight and the size of it, because this looks very, very fast. So yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for my rambling here with you guys. And yeah, so if you have any questions or anything, what I was talking about here, just leave them down in the comments or contact me on my Facebook group or my Patreon site. Both are called Cadbill Fly RC. And if you have any questions, again, just ask them over there. And if you can, become a paid member on my Patreon site. And it's only $5 a month. And all the stuff that I show you, well, most of the stuff I show you how you design here on my YouTube channel, it's available over there on my Patreon site, and it's just $5 a month, not much of anything. So yeah, but anyway, that's going to do it for this video, and let me know what you guys think of this XF-109. It's to me, I think this is the best way to go for reaching that 200. Well, AI says 170, 185, but I think I can get to 200. So yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, and I will catch you in the next one.
Subscribe for more.